What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. Week 3 of college football is finally here. I am that dude, and I cannot wait to watch some football first and foremost, but to dive into these games that we're going to be looking at this week. It's a little bit different week for us. No top 25 matchups this week, so that's, doesn't happen often. Last year when it happened, there were some crazy things that happened. A lot of the top 25 teams lost outright. So we'll see what happens going forward. Some of the things to look at in this video, I'll go over last week's picks. I will go over my games of the week, my official plays, and some underdogs to look out for that may have some good value for this week's action. Question of the day, make sure to drop it down below in the comments. What is your lock of the week? So to start off, let's go ahead and look at the plays that I gave last week. 3 and 2 last week in our official plays. Mississippi State covered by 16.5. Penn State covered the 29.5. Auburn covered by half a point. They had me worried a little bit. Ole Miss covered that game pretty handily against Arkansas. Miami ended up getting beat outright by North Carolina, so I missed that. And then Utah, they got beat, or they didn't get beat, but they did not cover the 22 points that I had picked. So not a bad week. Some of the outliers that I said upsets, underdogs that may go ahead and win outright, I said BYU. They beat Tennessee at Tennessee, so that was a good one. I said look at Colorado. Colorado beat Nebraska. What is better than a home team getting points? Don't forget that. And then I also said Texas getting points at home. That game was closer than that score actually appeared to be, but they didn't win. Anyways, let's jump into this week's games. My games of the week. Iowa State is hosting game day. Ames, Iowa is going to be pretty crazy this weekend. Iowa State, in-state matchup. First time game day will ever be in Ames, Iowa. This is going to be a pretty fun game to watch. Not really going to play this game, but if I had to pick, I would pick Iowa State getting a couple points. I think this is going to be a very fun game to watch. Florida at Kentucky. Florida has some revenge somewhat on Kentucky. Kentucky beat them last year at home. So looking forward to see what this game has to offer for all of us. SEC East game. Florida needs this game. Kentucky could use this game. So that'll be fun to watch. And then Stanford at Central Florida. Stanford's going to travel all the way over to Orlando this weekend. I don't really have a clue why they're playing Central Florida, but it's a game to watch. I am looking forward to seeing it. And, maybe I'm wrong, but is Tennessee, are they must-watch football each and every week? Because that's a game to watch for me. Tennessee at Chattanooga. And I think there is a chance that that game could get a little dicey. Tennessee needs to win that game. And I'm sorry, it's not at Chattanooga, but Chattanooga at Tennessee. And that'll be a fun one to watch. Tennessee's got to win one day or the other. So I think they do win this week. That's not a game of the week, but it's definitely something I'll be watching. Official plays. So let's jump into the official plays for this week. Penn State minus 16.5. Against Pittsburgh, a Pittsburgh team that is not very good. I think this Pittsburgh team is brutal. Pittsburgh and West Virginia are two of the worst Power 5 teams that I have watched this year. They don't really have anything going for them, whether it be offense or defense. So I'm going to lay 16.5 points with Penn State. New Mexico at Notre Dame getting 35 points. I like it, and I'm going to take it. 35 points. 34.5 points for New Mexico against Notre Dame. I'm going to take that. Another game that I'm going to take is Arkansas State plus 33.5 at Georgia. A lot of points there. And I'll kind of go ahead and get into my reasoning for this. I've picked a couple teams this week that are getting a lot of points, and I don't really feel that worried about it. And I kind of looked at Georgia and Notre Dame's games this weekend. They are going to be playing for next weekend. Georgia, Notre Dame. Both teams play each other. It'll be in Georgia, so that'll be a big game. I don't think that they're going to be going crazy on these two, pretty easy games this weekend. I could see them winning by 30, 31 points, 32 points, whatever it may be. I don't think they cover this spread. I think Notre Dame, first and foremost, wants to get healthy for the Georgia game. I think both of those are good plays. I also think Alabama covers 25 against South Carolina. I don't see South Carolina scoring more than 10 points, and I see Alabama scoring 40 points. So it's a pretty simple lock of the week for me. Alabama covering that 25 mark on South Carolina. Another game that I want to play is Ohio State minus 16. Started out at 15 against Indiana. Indiana can be pretty competitive every once in a while in these games. I think Ohio State is pretty legit. I think Justin Fields is pretty legit. And, that's something that I am fine with taking. But like I mentioned earlier, what is better than a home team getting points? And a couple of those teams that I'm talking about this week, Houston on Friday night, tonight, getting 9.5 points at home. That's a lot of points. Washington State, I understand that they blow out a lot of teams, but Houston plus 9.5, I like that. I'm not going to say it's an official play, but not mad about it. Another team at home getting points, Temple plus 7.5 against one of the hottest teams in sports right now, in college football right now, Maryland. 7.5 points. Temple plays really good in these spots. I would not, be crazy enough to think that Temple will not, use these 7.5 points and beat the spread on that. Everyone in the world is going to be taking Maryland. That number may even go up. Don't be crazy. 7.5 with Temple, that's where I would be on that game. Another game, Rice at home against Texas. 31.5 points. I would not be worried about putting 31.5 points on Rice. I think that helps them. I think Texas, coming off of a game with LSU last weekend, they're worn out. It's a good spot, getting a lot of points. That's all I'm saying. And then another home dog getting points is BYU. Plus 4.5 at USC. I think USC is, okay. Their new quarterback, he just won a big game against Stanford and looked really good against Stanford in doing it. Everyone is going to be picking USC. BYU still has some fight in them. They just came off of a big win at Tennessee. I wouldn't be surprised if BYU beats the spread and comes out a winner over USC. And then another one more is Colorado State at Arkansas, getting 9.5 points. I like that. They're not a home underdog, but I do like getting those points. Arkansas is not very good, ladies and gentlemen. If you do not know that, you haven't been paying much attention to Arkansas. A couple underdog winners, outright winners, I would say BYU, and this is a kind of a Iowa State. I think Iowa State wins that game in Ames, Iowa, at home. They are underdog, 1.5 point, still underdog. So I'd say BYU and Iowa State. So those are my official plays. Some of my leans as of right now would be Houston plus 9.5, Arkansas State plus 33.5, Rice plus 31.5, BYU plus 4.5, New Mexico plus 34.5, Colorado State plus 9.5. I told you last week I was taking a lot of favorites because that's where the numbers, that's where the Math was taking me this week. I think there's a lot of teams getting too many points. That's why I'm kind of leaning their way. I think it's going to be a great weekend of college football, even though we don't really have that marquee matchup. Let me know, what is your lock of the week in college football week 3? All right, let me know what you think about my picks. Make sure if you're new to the channel, like and subscribe. That way we can keep growing together. And I'm looking forward to coming back next week in week 4. Roll Tide. We will see you later.